Hey guys, I'm Steph and this is my intro video, although you've probably already read that in the title, like down here. I should probably explain first that although I can talk the hind leg off a donkey for like hours, days, weeks, I'm really not good talking it into a camera. Um, I hate it. So if I start rambling on about nothing in particular or have long periods of silence where I'm staring off into space trying to form words in my brain, I apologise. It's kind of what I do. The other guys have already explained roughly what this channel's about, so I won't go into too much detail. But essentially, what it is to try and bring together a multitude of different people from different fandoms, different corners, different walks of life, that all kind of share the same interests. You guys might, like, if you're watching this video, you might not have anybody else that you know that are into the same sort of things that we are. Maybe you do and you just want to see a new face, in which case, hello. Myself, I'm relatively new to the whole geek thing. I am and I'm not. I've known some of the guys like for ages. Some of them like not as long. But they've already given you like a rundown of like who we are, how we met, and things like that. So I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. So I apologise if I bore the pants off you, but everyone else is doing it. First of all, we've got Ian. I've known him for about 14, 15 years. We were in the same class in high school. He's the group's resident comedian. He's genuinely got a heart of gold. He's a massive Doctor Who fan. He's also really into like retro games, like old school, like James Bond stuff. Batman, he's a huge Batman fan. He's one of the main ones that tries to introduce me into different comics to read as far as Batman to sort of develop the characters. Anime he's into, or at least he used to be when he was at school. Back to the Future, that sort of thing. He's pretty much the go-to guy for like old toys, comics, pretty much any genre of film you can think of. More like sort of sci-fi stuff. But yeah, yeah. Then we've got Nick. Nick is Nick's Nick is. She's Ian's fiance. We met about 5 years ago. Only properly got to know each other about just over a year ago. She's got a huge range of stuff that she's into, like books, comics, films. She's a huge Catwoman fan. I think I said that. She's a big gamer, like into old games as well, same as Ian. Was a massive Kingdom Hearts fan. Mass Effect as well. She's into. There's probably a whole heap of other stuff that she's into as well, but my mind's just gone blank. But I mean, you'll see it in all the other videos. Charlie, I met Charlie at Collector Mania Glasgow last year through Nick and Ian. And she's pretty much into every TV show under the sun. Like the girl watches more TV in a week than I do, like that I've done in my life. Kind of, she's like into Buffy, Xena, Power Rangers. She's a massive Trekkie. Yeah, she's also a huge wrestling fan as well. She's actually to blame for getting me back into it after I had like a 16-year like break from it. But yeah, Star Trek springs to mind first was Charlie. I think she's already done a Buffy video on here. But yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention specifically. She's into her airsoft and also her games as well. I think she's like going through the old Pokemon ones at the moment. But yeah. Then we've got Rory, which, what can I say about Rory apart from Doctor Who? He's genuinely like the biggest Doctor Who nut I've ever met. Which is adorable, and it's really nice to see somebody who's genuinely like that passionate about something. He's also into James Bond, and for some reason old theme tunes and musicals are popping into my head when I think of Rory. Not sure why, but yeah. I met him last year as well. Would have been about May last year. I'd only met him for about 5 minutes. I bumped into Ian and Nick, and literally like within 5 minutes of him meeting me, he handed me a Drop Dead Fred DVD. Just because I mentioned Rick Mail, which I don't think he realised at the time quite how much that meant to me. Because he was a total stranger at the time, and it was such a genuine act, but he's somebody that constantly keeps surprising me, and it is generally just the type of person that Rory is. But yeah. Who else have we got? Tamsin and Kimmy. I'm not sure. I know Charlie's mentioned that Kimmy might be doing some videos. Tamsin, as far as I'm aware, she's doing this whole sort of battle for Helm's Deep in her head, similar to what I was, because I wasn't sure if I was going to do this or not. But I'll introduce them anyway. If they want to do the videos, then that's up to them, but obviously they've got other commitments as well. Tamsin's Nick's sister. I've known her for just on... no, it would be about a year. I met her about the same time as I met Charlie. She's a huge Harry Potter fan, Game of Thrones fan. She's a big gamer as well. She's a major Harley Quinn fan. She's done cosplay of that. And she's also a big reader as well. Like, I don't know, it doesn't sound that much, but the amount of books and games that she's mentioned to me, that she's read, or played through, it's like I've lost count, and it would be far too many to mention. I think she's currently playing Dark Souls. She mentioned that the last time I met her, but I mean, if she does the video, she can tell you herself. Kimmy's another one I've known since high school. She's Charlie's fiance. She's another huge gamer. Like, I think it's mostly driving games with Kimmy. And she's also into like sort of some shooting games like Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty 2, the Zombies, Nuketown. She's really good at that. She's also tried getting me into a couple of TV shows herself. She's a huge fan of Lost Girl. And her trying to get me to watch Lost Girl resulted in the same way as what she tried getting me to watch, or anybody tried getting me to watch most shows. I think I watched a few episodes and just kind of switched off. She did get me to almost watch the OC though, which she did almost get me hooked on that one. Almost. I managed to drag myself away after about 4 hours, but it was a good try. Oh, she also makes the meanest lentil soup in Edinburgh, I kid you not. I know it's got nothing to do with geeks, but just thought I'd point it out. Then you've got me. I've known myself since I was conceived. I'm probably the grumpiest old, the like resident grumpy old woman in the group. Just kidding, I'm a delightful little ball of fluff. Yeah, I'm a huge Red Dwarf fan. I cosplayed as female Rimmer last year from Series 10 with like the blue dress and stuff. That was at MCM at Glasgow last year. So I'm incredibly excited that like 2 new series have been announced recently for Red Dwarf coming out, so yay. Um, and I'm also a huge horror fan, and that's been pointed out a few times. Um, it's more sort of like, I don't know. I'm not really a massive fan of jump scares. As far as horror movies is concerned, the gorier the better for me. But I'm also a really huge fan of like the original B movie horrors, like I don't know, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Little Shop of Horrors, the original one with Jack Nicholson in it, Plan 9 from Outer Space, um, The Day the Earth Stood Still, basically like the really old black and white ones where the special effects were so basic, but at the same time it adds a slight campness to it. That it's serious, and you can imagine for at the time it was scary. But then you get some of them that are out there that are so incredibly ridiculous. Like I think I bought one ages ago called Attack of the Killer Crab Monsters, which were quite literally people being attacked by like polystyrene giant crab claws, which was just hysterical. But then you've also got your old sort of like your 70s and 80s classic horror movies as well, like Nightmare on Elm Street and Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, any of the like Freddy films, Return of the Living Dead, Pet Sematary. I'm a huge zombie fan. That should be pointed out. I love zombie movies, love them. I could like literally I can't get enough of them. I'm also into your classic horror as well, like Nosferatu, The Mummy, The Bat, Dracula, Frankenstein, like any of the old ones with like Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, who's one of my favourite horror actors of all time. Peter Cushing, like your old Hammer horror stuff. But yeah, trying to think what else I'm into. Lord of the Rings. I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan. It's like been one of my favourite movies ever since I was little. Well, saying little. The first movie came out when I was in high school. Yeah, 2001, I think. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Top Gear. I know I'm not hugely into cars, but I like Top Gear for some reason. Devastated that it's finished, but still. Jackass, I'm a massive Jackass fan. Sherlock Holmes, not the Benedict Cumberbatch one, even though I'll probably get shot down. I don't mind the guy, I just don't like his Sherlock Holmes. I'm a sort of old school Basil Rathbone. Quite like Robert Downey Jr.'s one, but yeah, Basil Rathbone. And Batman. I love Batman. Well, not necessarily Batman, I like the villains. It's something about like the detail that DC actually went and put in behind the villains, like their psychology and things like that. It's just I've not came across a TV show or a book or anything that way that's sort of cared so much about the characters, particularly the bad guys. They've sort of not made them 2D. The main one that pops into my head with that one is the Joker. The Joker is I can't describe how much I love the Joker. He always is, always has been, and always will be my favourite villain and Batman character of all time, which I think he's a lot of people's, but yeah, I love the Joker. Seriously, I've got like belts, posters, t-shirts. I've got a stained glass thing of the Joker. Yeah, like I love him to bits. Also Killer Croc as well. I don't know why Killer Croc lately. I was just going over the old Arkham Asylum. Ian will be able to correct you because I think it was one of the ones that he lent me. I was rereading the Arkham Asylum graphic novels, comics. It was a hardback, so I don't know. Of like their backstories and stuff. And Killer Croc is another one that for some reason, I think it's just sheer brutality and viciousness that I actually really like. That and the fact as well is that he's going to be in the Suicide Squad movie, and his photo got leaked the other day there. And somebody also photoshopped Kane into him, which, yeah. Speaking of Kane, I mentioned beforehand with Charlie, I am into WWE. Charlie is to blame for that one. I was massively into it as a kid, kind of trailed off, and about 7 or 8 months ago she was watching the laptop, and I just sort of was like, and since then I think I've spent like one Sunday, like genuinely spending all day just watching WWE, and then since then I've been hooked. I've been spending most of my time lately watching like the old videos on the WWE network. I'm just trying to catch up and fill in on the last sort of like, I think what I last watched WWE about 15, 16 years ago. So yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to catch up on. So yeah, as I've got that, just sort of, yeah, I'm rambling now. Yeah, just re-educating myself. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, I am a Dean Ambrose fan. My little crazy monkey. Kane as well, I've already mentioned. Bray, Seth, Triple H. Kane was my absolute favourite as a kid, I have to say. I do like the whole sort of corporate Kane thing with the Authority, but bite me. Not a lot of people like him, but he's a brilliant wrestler and he stood the test of time. Which I think, I don't know, there's a lot of them nowadays that I think they're probably going to burn out fast watching them compared to like watching them back in the day. But I don't know, I'm gibbering and I'm not making much sense. And I also don't know if I had an actual point to whatever I was saying. But yeah, where was I? Interest. I'm a big gamer. Like 90% of my time I'm either on my laptop playing games on a website called Newgrounds, or I'm on Steam, or I'm also on my Xbox. It's kind of, I play like a wide mix of games, but I prefer like point and click, like puzzle games, like brains, games that make my brain work, because God knows it doesn't work half the time. But I don't know, I love the Batman games, obviously. LA Noire, Fable, some older ones like Fahrenheit was a really good one. Destroy All Humans was just sheer comic relief. Another site I'm on as well is Game Oldies, which is like a big emulator based online, which has got literally hundreds and hundreds of games, from like SNES, Master System, Mega Drive, or Genesis, GameCube, Game Boy. The list goes on. Literally, like, name the console and name the game, no matter how rare it is, and guaranteed it will more than likely be on that website. I'll try, when I upload the video, I'll try and put the link in the description. So yeah, I'll try and do that for you, so because more people need to realise that this site exists, because there's a lot of great games that maybe weren't played a lot years ago when they first came out, because not a lot of people knew about them, and now it's there and it's completely free as well, which is a good thing. Another good thing is Newgrounds. Like I said, it's an indie game, an indie website. Basically it's like freelance game designers. There's some films as well and animators that are on there, but it's the games that I more watch and play it's like indie developers creating games. I mean, you do get some tripes that's on there. I can hardly talk because I would love to make games, but I just can't. I can't get to grips with any of the game drives. But yeah, it's basically made for the fans, by the fans, and there's a lot of indie developers that are on there that have moved on to do really, really great things. Like, I'm just naming off the top of my head. I mean, I'll need to check my facts for that one, but like Five Nights at Freddy's is now like a massive indie game on Steam, as well as like Slenderman. I think, but don't quote me on it, they originally started off on Newgrounds. But I mean, there's also a lot of other ones on there, which, yeah, it's free. Free is good. As for my videos and what I'm planning on doing, not that I think a lot of people will end up watching them now that they've watched me spout my inane dribble and not made any sense whatsoever. I'm thinking about doing some playthroughs of games. Like, I mentioned Newgrounds and I mentioned Steam and the game oldies. I'd love to try and get the software and hardware available to try and like do like playthroughs on like Xbox games. But yeah, I was doing playthroughs of games that I enjoyed when I was growing up and games that I've sort of discovered now, that I think that other people should know about as well. Also, maybe doing some like, say, horror reviews. What I tend to do is I will track down the cheesiest horror movies of all time. Which is kind of a hobby of mine, is just collecting really bad, really, really awful horror movies just for sheer comedic value. So maybe doing some reviews of them. Other stuff I've watched as well. Probably not TV shows, because I think everyone that's on this channel will like confirm I am useless at watching TV shows. Like, you literally have to force me, like nail me down to the couch, force my eyes open and pin me watching to a series. Otherwise I'll just lose interest. I don't have a very high attention span. I mean, to use an example, like say Gotham, I watched the first 4 episodes, didn't watch it again, and it wasn't because I didn't like it, I just found other stuff to do. I mean, that's on what, like series 2? I think series 2's just finished, is it not? Game of Thrones was another one, loved it. I've only seen the first series. Walking Dead, didn't make it and yeah, I've not made it past halfway through series 3, so yeah, I'm useless at that one. Playthroughs, yeah, I think it'll mostly be playthroughs with me. Nick, if you end up watching this one, I've just realised it's hit 23 minutes, but I'm throwing out a warner, so I make sure that you pay attention. You will be playing Five Nights at Freddy's with me, without a shadow of a doubt, so be warned. I'm roping you in on that one. I think I was talking to Charlie yesterday, and I think I mentioned to her about maybe doing like a sort of little like group chat between me and her, and I think she's got a friend that's into WWE as well, about maybe doing like a preview show before a pay-per-view. Basically our predictions and things like that, which should be good because, I mean, well, I know Charlie's imagination and she knows WWE better than what I do. Her one can come up, and she's usually pretty accurate as far as like coming up with who she thinks is going to win and things. Me, my imagination tends to run away with me, and I concoct amazing stories that sound amazing, and then WWE decides to like smash my soul to pieces with like an axe or whatever that way, when they do something completely different. Which, yeah, WWE creative, I'm looking at you for Money in the Bank. Why? But yeah, I think I've rambled on far too long now. So I'm going to wrap up and basically just say that if you guys have got any suggestions about stuff that you want to see on the channel, like myself, if I'm doing playthroughs about games that you want to see me do, or ways that we can make this channel better so you guys enjoy it more, then by all means hit me up, hit the other guys up on the channel, hit like and subscribe. And I mean, you should know the drill by now. I ain't your mum, but yeah, I should probably finish off with like a really witty one-liner at the end. Yeah, you know, like catchy, like Markiplier Tobuscus, but I'm just gonna click stop and say bye, and I'll probably, yeah, I'll hopefully post up something tomorrow. But bye.